Hello and welcome to For You. Reese and Elsie are back and we are in London, sipping our afternoon tea and nibbling on cucumber sandwiches.
Yeah, and just having a relaxing afternoon.
Yeah, sunny days are rare in the UK, but today the sun is out, so we're sitting outside with the big red buses shooting past and British people chattering away.
Wow, what a nice afternoon we're having.
It is so lovely. We're back for day 2, the great British tradition of afternoon tea. Yesterday we learned about the history of afternoon tea. It was basically one woman, wasn't it, Elsie?
Right, what's her name?
Was it
I
Anna?
remember she's a duchess.
Yeah, Anna, the Duchess of Bedford.
Right, Anna.
Yeah, and basically she would eat her dinner later in the day, but she would get hungry in the mid-afternoon, so she decided to have tea and scones or scones.
Yes, and she started inviting friends over.
Yeah, and they thought it was fancy and nice and a good chance to have a gossip with each other, and that's where the tradition started.
Right, the occasion became fashionable.
Yeah, well, let's learn more about the tradition of afternoon tea in the article today.
Reading. The Great British Tradition of Afternoon Tea. Now you know the history of afternoon tea, let's enjoy some in the proper British way. These days, many kinds of tea can be served. The classics, though, are English breakfast and Earl Grey. One person is responsible for pouring everyone's tea. I'll let you do that this time. Some people prefer to pour milk in their cup first and then add tea. Others, like me, prefer to add the milk after the tea. Make sure you stir your tea in a front-to-back motion. This will create fewer spills. You may be used to a light afternoon snack, but you'd better save room for these delights. We have a 3-tier stand with sandwiches on the first layer, scones on the second, and cakes on the third. We'll start with the sandwiches before moving on to the scones. Everything should be eaten with our fingers. Scones should be broken in 2 by hand, not with a knife. Cream and jam can then be added. Finally, if you still have room, enjoy a delicious slice of cake.
The article says, now you know the history of afternoon tea. Let's enjoy some in the proper British way. Proper way. I like that phrase. Proper is an adjective, and proper means of the correct type or form. Proper is the way something should be. It's suitable or appropriate. We can use proper to talk about pretty much anything. If we're talking about going hiking, we would say you need the proper clothes or equipment for hiking, which would include big boots and a raincoat, not high heels and a vest. So the proper way to drink afternoon tea is the way that afternoon tea should be drunk. There's a right way to do it and a wrong way to do it. The proper way is the right way. Here's an example sentence. In soccer, the proper way to kick the ball is with the side of your foot, not the front.
Proper 这个形容词呢，代表适当的、正确的。所以 the proper way 那就是适当正确的方式。那像是我们到不同的 occasions 不同的场合当中，我们要穿的是 proper clothes for different kinds of occasions。我们要穿的是适当的衣服。那再来呢，当我们要说做某事是适当的时候，我们可以说 it is proper for somebody to do something。像是呢 it's not proper for you to show up so late 代表你迟到太久是不适当的。那回到课文来呢，我们说到现在我们了解了午茶的历史之后，我们来用英国的方式喝下午茶吧。
So if the adjective proper describes things, the adverb properly describes the way that you should do something. It describes verbs because it's an adverb. So if I say, Elsie, sit properly, I'm saying, straighten your back and don't slouch over.
Right, 在用的是 properly 来修饰前面的 sit.
Well, the article tells us more. It says, these days, many kinds of tea can be served. The classics, though, are English breakfast and Earl Grey.
好，那我们先看这个片语 these days 代表是现在如今，有很多不同的茶种。The classics 代表是经典的茶有哪一些呢？英式早餐茶还有 Earl Grey 伯爵茶。I like Earl Grey a lot.
I like Earl Grey too, but I think I prefer breakfast tea.
Oh, you like breakfast tea more?
Yeah, even in the afternoon, I'll drink breakfast tea. And I like my tea to be quite strong too, so I'll usually only add just a drop of milk because I really want to taste that tea flavor.
Do you add sugar in it?
No, never add sugar in my tea.
Never.
That's blasphemous.
Wow.
It's not the proper way to do it.
It's not proper.
Well, back to the article, and it tells us about the tradition of afternoon tea. It says one person is responsible for pouring everyone's tea. I'll let you do that this time. So the article used the verb pour here, P-O-U-R, different from the word pour, P-O-O-R, which means you have no money. The verb to pour something means you take a liquid like water or milk and you pour it, which means you make the liquid flow quickly in a single stream. If you have a glass of water and you tip the glass to the side, the water will pour out. You cannot pour a solid. Actually, that's not true. You can pour things like sugar, salt, or other fine solids. Their individual parts are so small that they act like a liquid. Here's an example sentence. Pour the milk, water, and flour into the bowl and mix until smooth.
Pour 这个动词呢是倒的动作，那 pour water 倒像水一样的液体，或者是 pour things like sugar and salt 也可以去倒像是精细的固体哦，是 OK 的，可以用 pour 这个动词。那课文这边还用到的是 is responsible for 代表的是负责做某事，所以有一个人必须要负责倒所有人的茶，这次我让你倒茶。
There's another way to use the word pour. Elsie, if I say to you, it's pouring outside, what do you think that means?
代表 it's raining really heavily outside.
Yeah.
雨下得非常的大，像用倒的一样。
Exactly. It's pouring outside. It's raining a lot. Well, back to the article and the next step of the process of making afternoon tea. It says some people prefer to pour milk in their cup first and then add tea. Others, like me, prefer to add the milk after the tea. Well, just like the scone conversation, whether you put the milk in first or last is also the subject of a hot debate. People argue about this all the time. Personally, I think you should put the milk in after the water, because that way you can really tell the color of the tea.
所以你是先加茶再加牛奶。
Yes, that's the way I do it, but some people do it the wrong way. They put the milk in first.
But which way is the proper way?
Well, I think the article is saying that actually both ways are okay, according to the tradition. Well, the article used the word prefer here. Some people prefer to pour milk in their cup first. Prefer is a verb, and to prefer something means to like one thing more than other things. If you prefer something, you're more likely to choose that thing given the choice. For example, I prefer noodles to rice. That means I like noodles better than rice. Do you prefer cats or dogs, Elsie?
Cats, for sure.
Me too. I prefer cats. We like cats more. The noun form of prefer is preference. The thing that you like more is your preference. Here's an example sentence with prefer. I would prefer to go to the museum instead of the park. The weather doesn't look too good.
Prefer 这个动词呢，代表的是偏好。那这边为同学们整理它的用法哦。第一个 prefer A to B， 那就是比起 B 比较偏好的是 A 这个东西，像是 I prefer rice to noodles， 代表面和饭啊，我比较喜欢吃饭。再来第二个我们要注意到的是，当我们要说偏好做某事的时候呢，可以是 prefer to do something 或是 prefer doing something. For example, I prefer to lie on the beach while my friend prefers to visit museums. 这句话我们可以说I prefer lying on the beach while my friend prefers visiting museums. 也就是我比较喜欢躺在沙滩上，但是我的朋友喜欢参观博物馆。那回到课文来呢，我们说到啊，有些人偏好先加牛奶再加茶，而其他人就像我一样，先加茶再加牛奶，那就是像 Reese 一样。
So Elsie, in the mornings, do you prefer to drink tea or do you prefer to drink coffee?
I prefer to drink coffee. I can't live without coffee.
Me too. If I don't have my coffee in the morning, I'll be dead all day.
Dead all day and I'll be really grumpy.
Yeah. Well, back to the article and more about the process of making that tea. Make sure you stir your tea in a front-to-back motion. This will create fewer spills. Wow, so just like the Japanese tea ceremony, there are special ways of making tea in afternoon tea in the UK, and they're not just for tradition, they're to help you keep your table clean. The article used the word stir here. Make sure you stir your tea. Stir, S-T-I-R, is a verb, and to stir means to move a spoon or other thing round in a liquid or other substance in order to mix it thoroughly. To stir something, you will need a spoon or a stick or something similar. You put it into a cup or a bowl of liquid and move it in circles. That makes the liquid go around and anything inside the liquid will get mixed inside. When cooking or baking, you must stir things to mix them together well. Here's an example sentence. Stir the milk into the coffee before you drink it.
Stir 这个动词呢，代表搅动、搅拌。那再来，我们还看到复合形容词 front to back， 代表的是前后的。So you need to stir your tea in a front to back motion， 也就是将你的茶前后搅拌。那你要 make sure you do this， 也就是确认、确保你有做到这件事情。那再给同学们一个 make sure 的例句哦。Make sure you turn off the gas before you leave the house。在你离开房子之前，你要确认、确保你有关掉瓦斯。
Yeah, you have to stir in this special way because if you don't, you might spill the tea. Now, the article used the word spill as a noun, but it's often used as a verb. The verb to spill something means to make a liquid, like water or tea, flow over the side of the thing that it's in. So if it's tea, it would fall out of the cup. The word spill usually means we accidentally made the water come out of the cup. So if you have a cup of tea on the table and you shake the table, the tea or the coffee or the water might spill out of the mug or the cup. So the noun form a spill is the liquid that has fallen out of the container. To take a spill is another way to use this word, means to fall over. Here's an example sentence using the noun form of spill. A coffee spill completely ruined the drawing that I was working on.
Spill 在课文当中当名词用哦，代表是洒出的量或是溢出的量。那当然它也可以当作动词的形式。所以课文这边提醒我们啊，这样前后来回搅拌才能够减少茶的溢出。
Well, back to the article and moving on from the tea to the snacks. You may be used to a light afternoon snack, but you'd better save room for these delights. We have a 3-tier stand with sandwiches on the first layer, scones on the second, and cakes on the third.
那这里呢，我们先来看一下 language in focus。我们要讲的是你在句首，好，这一句句首看到的 you may be used to。be used to 后面加上名词或是 VING， 还有 used to 加上原形动词有什么不一样呢？我们先来看第一种哦 be used to。后面加上名词或是 VING， 或是你把 be 动词改为 get 也可以，那代表的是你习惯做某事。Used 它是一个过去分词当形容词用，那 to 是个介系词，所以后面必须要接上名词或动名词。Get used to 那就更强调从不习惯转为习惯，也就是 become used to 的意思。所以课文这边说啊，你可能习惯吃一点下午茶点心就好，但最好留点胃呢给这些美味的茶点。那再来给同学们一个例句哦。For example, Tom is never used to getting up early， 代表 Tom 从来不习惯早起。那第二种我们要讲到的是 used to 加上原形动词的用法，它用来表示的是呢过去常做但是现在不再做的事情，或是用于指过去的状态。那 used to 它是一个助动词的用法，所以后面你必须要接上原形动词。For example, he used to be an introvert, but now he's very outgoing. 他以前是一个内向的人，但现在很外向。
The article used many words here that we haven't seen before. Perhaps the word delight is new for you. A delight is something that is good, fun, or a pleasure to do or experience. So, for example, Elsie is a delight to be around.
You too.
Thank you. She's a really fun person. Another delight is eating chocolate cake. That is a delight. So delight here is used as a noun. It's a good thing, a fun thing to do. The article also used the word layer. Layer is a noun, and a layer is a long, flat thing that covers another thing or builds something. And one thing with layers often has many layers. Basically, a layer is like a level. Like a cake has many layers. It might have one layer of sponge with a layer of cream in the middle and another layer of sponge and another layer of icing on the top. That's 4 layers. Think of the onion vegetable. That has many layers. If you peel one layer away, there'll be another layer underneath. I've said the word layer too many times now. It doesn't make sense to me anymore.
好，我们先回到刚刚的 delight。好 ，delight 是个名词，代表让人愉快的事物或是人。那在文章当中指的就是这边的美味小点。那再来 layer 这个名词呢，代表的是层。所以我们在课文当中看到 we have a 3-tier stand with sandwiches on the first layer。第一层是有三明治的 ，scones on the second。第二层是有司康。And cakes on the third layer, 也就是第三层是有蛋糕的。
So this cake stand has 3 layers. 3 plates probably joined together with a pole in the middle. And on each layer, there are different delicious snacks. Well, back to the article, it says, we'll start with the sandwiches before moving on to the scones. Everything should be eaten with our fingers. Ooh, that sounds pretty fun. And also kind of upper class tradition.
Yeah, you use hands to eat.
Yeah.
You don't use forks?
No.
Or knives? No.
Afternoon tea, we have this phrase finger food, which are small snacks like, a quarter of a sandwich that you can just pick up with your fingers.
用手直接可以拿取的食物。
Yeah, just make sure you've washed your hands first. The article used this phrase move on. To move on means to go to a different place or to a different subject or activity.
Move on to something 代表变换活动啦，或是动作的对象、地点等等。所以呢，我们会先吃三明治，吃完之后 move on to scones， 再去吃司康，全部都是用手直接吃。
Well, the article then talks about the scones. It says scones should be broken in 2 by hand, not with a knife. Cream and jam can then be added. Oh, I love scones, and especially when they're served with real Devonshire cream. That's a special kind of cream that comes from Devon, which is in South England. The article says we should break the scones by hand. To do something by hand means that you make it yourself or you do it with your hands. You don't use a machine or a tool to help you. If you make something by hand, that means you make it yourself instead of buying it.
By hand 代表就是用手来做一件事情，所以呢，我们这边课文说到，你要吃司康的时候，你要用手剥两半来吃，而不是用刀子。You don't use a knife. 你可以加上奶油和果酱。
Devon cream and strawberry jam on a scone sounds like the perfect snack.
Wonderful.
Well, the article wraps up here. It says, finally, if you still have room, enjoy a delicious slice of cake. I think there's always room in my belly for cake, especially if it's a Victoria sponge, which is a traditional kind of British cake with strawberry or raspberry jam and buttercream.
I need to have some desserts after this lesson.
So good. A slice of cake is perfect in the afternoon. The word slice is a thin piece of something, usually cut from the whole thing. So a slice of cake or a slice of pizza, a slice of pie or a slice of ham. We usually use a knife to slice something so that we can get a slice of that thing. Slice can be a noun or a verb. An example sentence with slice, can I have a slice of your cheese pizza, please? It looks so tasty.
Slice 这个名词呢，代表就是切下的食物，切为一片或是薄片。所以像是蛋糕，你可以切片 a slice of cake. Pizza 你可以切片 a slice of pizza. 面包你也可以切片 a slice of bread. 牛肉你也可以切片 a slice of beef 都是可以的。所以最后呢，我们的课文说到，如果你的胃里面还有空间，那就来享受一片美味的蛋糕吧。
All right, I think we should definitely go for some afternoon tea after recording this.
We should.
Well, that's the end of the article. We hope you learned something about the British tradition of afternoon tea. Let's go to our For You chat question and talk about tea in other parts of the world.
You chat.
So the question for you today, Elsie, and for you guys listening, how else do people around the world enjoy tea?
I know. I've learned that people in Turkey love tea too. And people in Ireland love tea too.
Is there a special way in Turkey for drinking tea?
I don't know about that, but I believe they have their special way.
It does sound tasty. I know in Japan they have special tea ceremonies, right? Which are very...
茶道吗?
Sorry?
茶道.
Yeah, it's super interesting. Like very delicately done and very complicated, and it lasts a long time.
And it's very beautiful.
How about in Taiwan?
In Taiwan, I think we just drink tea.
Yeah.
We just drink tea whenever we have it.
Yeah, but it's a huge kind of part of Taiwanese culture, right? Like bubble tea.
Right, yes, but like for normal tea, I think maybe the older generation has their special way of drinking tea.
Yeah, some kind of old shop fronts, they still have those big wooden tables with the teapots and they pour the tea in a very special way. And
yeah, I think you need to pour water on the tea leaves not only one time, maybe 3 times.
Yeah.
Or more.
You've got to wash them, and each different kind of tea has a different time for boiling.
Yes.
Well, you guys can think about this and maybe do some research. Where in the world do people drink tea, and how do they drink it? That's all we have for now. Elsie and I are going to go for some afternoon tea. We hope you can do the same. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Ta-ra.
Vocabulary Review.
Proper. After camping in the woods for 3 days, Henry was excited to eat a proper breakfast. Pour. Vivian sat in the tub and poured water over her hair to wash it. Prefer. Ben likes to play basketball on weekends, while Tim prefers to play video games. Stir. Slowly stir the noodles as they cook so they don't stick together. Spill. Young Billy often knocks over his drink, so his mother cleans up his spills. Slice. Mary cut a slice of cheese and put it in her sandwich for lunch.
智慧小补帖
Delight. Layer.
《以上节目是由活用空中美语制作，活用空中美语杂志，请洽询全国各大书店。如欲索取试听教材，请来电02-2364-4000 02-2364-4000，或上网查询，网址是 www.english4u.net www.english4u.net